Hello Ice and Fire Nerds, this is Chris, and let's continue our Game of Thrones Foreshadowing series and pick up where we left off last episode. We're still on Season 1, Episode 2, The King's Road. So let's pick up where we left off in our last episode. We have Bran laying in the bed, still in his coma, and Catelyn's there trying to protect him, and Robb goes to see what's going on with this fire.
To Powell about it.
Now, there's no real particular scene here for a payoff, but the point being here that they keep really harping on the gods here as far as Catelyn, you know, making her little wreaths for the Seven. Again, as I mentioned in the last episode, she follows the faith of the Seven since she's from the south, being a Tully. And then we have the cat's paw that comes in and tries to murder Bran, and Catelyn tries to save him and gets her hands cut before Summer comes in and rips the guy's throat out. So they're really kind of pushing here the thing on the religions. And basically, I think what they're saying here is the faith of the Seven has no real power. What we're seeing here actively happen is the kind of the old gods' magic working as far as the bond between the direwolves and the Stark kids, specifically here Bran and Summer. But what actually saves him is the quote-unquote old gods, or Bloodraven, and that northern ice magic, as I refer to it as. And I think basically saying that the faith of the Seven has no real power. And in the same scene, of course, Catelyn gets her hands cut by the cat's paw by the Valyrian steel blade, and then we cut immediately over to Dany.
Have you ever seen a dragon?
Dragon gone, Khaleesi?
Everywhere.
So in the very next scene, Dany is getting her hands healed by Daria and the rest of the Dothraki. I was trying to think here, what is the parallel between Dany and Catelyn? Absolutely nothing. So I think this might have been just more of a visual transition because they have nothing in common whatsoever. Let me know if you think otherwise. And then next we have a scene where Catelyn starts her investigation. So she starts her investigation here of what's going on with Bran and the Lannisters, and she finds the hair of Cersei, but more importantly, she looks up at the tower. So I think this is kind of telling us that this location is going to be fairly important in the future. And of course, we have this parallel scene at least in Season 6. So we had Bran go through the window, Catelyn look up and try to investigate what the hell was going on in Season 1. Next we had Sansa look up at the window because it was going to be her point of rescue. And I still think we'll see another scene with this window involved at the old tower in a future season, possibly Season 7. I think somebody's going through that damn window. And next Catelyn says,
I have prayed to the Seven for more than a month. Bran's life is in their hands now.
that's the problem, Catelyn. You're praying to the wrong gods.
Here's a three-eyed raven.
I've been many things. Now, I am what you see.
And in the next few scenes with Dany, we have her and Daria, the rest of the Dothraki handmaidens, as well as Drogo.
You will make him like it, Khaleesi. Men want what they've never had, and the Dothraki take slaves like a hound takes a bitch. Are you a slave, Khaleesi?
This is just showing Dany's growth a little bit, how she's kind of growing into a woman. She's learning how to be a queen, for that matter, with Khal Drogo. And of course with Daria and the Dothraki horde that she's traveling with, she's introduced to the idea of slavery, which begins her anti-slavery campaign later on, which of course prepares her to become the queen in the future in Meereen. We'll see her now go over to Westeros and try to be queen there, although I think she may run into a few problems. And in our next scene, we see Sansa come across Sir Ilyn Payne at the inn as they head towards King's Landing.
Pardon me, sir.
Is that frightening you so much, girl? Or is it him there making you shake?
Now this scene is just meant to kind of move the story along, introduce us to a couple more characters. Sir Ilyn Payne's here for the first time. Joffrey, we get to see a little bit more of him and how much of an asshole he is. But this also introduces us to the idea of the Hound coming up to protect Sansa and later on actually Arya, because we see this. And then Joffrey, trying to show off a little bit, says this.
Does the hound frighten you? Away with you, dog. You're scaring my lady.
So Joffrey says, away with you, dog, and that leads, of course, directly to this later on.
Fuck the King's Guard. Fuck the city. Fuck the king.
So essentially, he listened to Joffrey, said fuck the king, and got the hell out of there because he wanted to go eat some damn chicken. And in the very next scene, we have Arya and Micah stick fighting, and this goes down right here.
Won't hurt him. Much.
Stop it! Stop it! Both of you!
So Arya takes control of the situation, and in kind of a parallel moment in season 5, we see this. So she throws her own stuff in the river, so I think this scene right here in episode 2 kind of represents the fact that Arya is starting to give up her identity already, and as I mentioned in the last episode, starts heading down this dark path to become this warrior queen, Nymeria, and the badass faceless assassin we see in season 6. And of course, to add to this, we see Nymeria being ran off. She throws a rock to get rid of Nymeria so they won't kill her. I think we will definitely see Nymeria again, so we'll definitely see that payoff later, I think. Hopefully in season 7, maybe season 8, we'll see. But the point being here that Nymeria running off, leaving her, kind of represents Arya leaving herself as far as her identity goes, as she kind of starts down her dark path of vengeance and her little identity crisis. And then of course we have the aftermath of this scene when Robert has his little meeting with Ned, Sansa, and company.
To get this business done quickly.
Your girl and that butcher's boy attacked my son. That animal of hers nearly tore his arm off.
That's not true. She just bit him a little.
So I kind of think this plays off the scene in episode 1 where they find the dead direwolf, the dead stag, as well as the mention of the mountain lion, where it kind of foreshadows the shit that's going to go down between the Lannisters and the Baratheons as well as the Starks. So this kind of shows you what's going to happen. It kind of shows Cersei's true colors as well, because she has to have somebody killed, and it ends up being Lady. And of course from this we see...
You've always hated him.
Hated him? I worshipped him. And when I finally saw him on our wedding day in the Sept of Baelor, lean and fierce and black-bearded, it was the happiest moment of my life. And whispered in my ear, Lyanna. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win, or you die.
So that shows you that Cersei and Ned were going to be at each other's throats. And of course Ned made the honorable decision to tell Cersei, and that was where he fucked up, and that's why he got killed. But more importantly here, we see that when Ned kills Lady, this is actually what causes Bran to wake up. So I think this is telling us right off the bat that there's a direct connection between the direwolves and the Stark kids. At this point, we had not seen any evidence of warging. At this point, we really didn't know there was a magical connection between the Stark kids and their direwolves. We thought they were basically just pets. So when Bran wakes up after Lady dies, we see the direct connection. We see that the direwolves are going to be a lot more important than we think, at least in the sense of this northern ice magic, which ties into Bloodraven and the Children of the Forest. So I guess you could say that indirectly Cersei caused Bran to wake up, and I think that really hinted, being the last couple seconds of this episode, of how important Bran was going to be. This episode was filled with a lot of foreshadowing and hints and clues and parallels, just not a lot of stuff we could pay off visually. It really started to set into motion how important some of these characters were going to be. You know, it started getting to the religions a little bit as far as the old gods versus the faith of the seven, and it really just started a lot of character progression itself. So anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. As usual, thank you for all the support, especially you guys on Patreon. And as usual, a big shout out to my Patreon executive smokescreen producers, Volga10, Lala Gig, and Kissa Powell. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and make sure you guys hit that little notification bell beside the subscribe button to make sure you get notified when a new video is dropped. And again, these videos are fairly short in this series, but it allows me to upload a lot more frequently. So again, thanks so much you guys for the support. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you